Welcome into Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you here today. Before we get started with Jacob Birnbaum, the new head boys basketball coach, do want to mention that our thoughts and prayers still continue to go out to the Collins family. Tragedy struck last week with Nate passing away. His service was on Monday this week, and by the turnout that they had, you could tell how much that he was loved and how much he is going to be missed. So just want to let them know that the Wildcat community is thinking about them, and we are as well. And with that, Jacob, I know that you got to know Nate a little bit too. So, I mean, before we get started on questions and your introduction as the new boys basketball coach, I figure you may want to say a thing or two.
Yeah, it was when we got the news on Thursday. It's tough news. It's difficult. He was a great athlete for us, but even more than that, he was just an outstanding kid, an outstanding person, and his energy, his positivity was just contagious, and it really hurt to have to send him away. But our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the family, and you can see how big of an impact he really had on our community and how many people he touched just by the turnout that we had for his ceremony on Monday.
Certainly so. So now let's get into some basketball, and you're the new head coach, and you're a Ponca grad from 2016, so
Yes,
it has
sir.
to be cool to coach where you graduated from.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a good feeling. I moved back 2 years ago and started coaching the ninth grade team, and have just been on the staff. And once the position opened up, I knew it was something that I wanted to do. I care about the program a lot. I had some thoughts and ideas that I think could help, and I'm just excited to get ready to work.
Well, and in high school, he was a standout player. OBCA, Oklahoma Basketball Coaches Association All-Star, that doesn't come lightly. And we haven't had a lot of those, really, in Ponca City. So that was a really cool honor. And did you kind of know, even at that time, kind of your senior year, that you wanted to be a basketball coach?
I knew I just loved basketball. I wanted to stick with basketball in some kind of sense. To be honest, I really didn't know how much I was going to enjoy it until I started 2 years ago. And after my first year, I was like, yeah, I think I found my calling. This is something I really enjoy doing.
Well, and after you graduated high school, Newman is where you ended up,
Yes,
and
sir.
you were part of some really successful teams up there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I learned a lot. I had a couple of great coaches. Coach Mark Potter was the coach my freshman year, and then after he retired, I had Coach R.J. Allen, and I'm still really close with both of them today. I learned a lot from both of them. I learned a lot from just being in that program, having teammates, other great teammates, pushing each other to get better, and really kind of seeing what success looks like, and hopefully being able to bring some of those lessons back here to Ponca.
Well, and one of those teams you were on, they set a record for wins too. So that's nothing to make light about.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those are great memories. What a lot of people don't see is all the hard work that goes into accomplishing a season like that. So I know what it takes. So hopefully we'll be able to bring those same values, that same effort here.
Well, one thing that stood out to me that I saw when I was looking at kind of the handout that they had, and it was athletic training observation hours. So were you thinking about maybe going that path at one time?
Well, my degree that I got in college was in biology, and I had wanted to get into physical therapy. But so when I started my first year here, I was finishing up my master's degree in business administration that I was halfway through. So I was kind of taking a gap year to figure out if I still wanted to go to PT school, if I wanted to stay. But once I started coaching, man, I just got hooked.
Well, and with that, how did it lead? So after you graduate and you kind of have that gap year, you're trying to figure things out. Did it just come up and you saw an opening at Ponca and applied and said, hey, I think that'd be cool, and not really knowing that it would lead to this? Is that kind of what happened?
Well, I came back for one of the players that I was close with. I came to his graduation party, and Coach Imac was there, and he had kind of put the bug in my ear, like, hey, I might need some help with some of the middle school teams or the freshman team. So I had kind of been thinking about it, and then as I was going through the summer, I was like, yeah, I think that's an opportunity I'd like to pursue. And then once I got here, man, it was just like full tilt. I fell in love with it right away.
Well, and I figured you knew you wanted to be a head coach one day, but it's coming pretty soon. And on top of that, it's with Ponca City. So, I mean, when you took that assistant job, it may have been the dream that this would be something really cool, but to happen this soon, I'm sure that was unexpected.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing. I'm blessed to be given this opportunity. I definitely didn't think that I get the opportunity to run a program this soon. So, I'm really appreciative of Coach Levitt and Mr. Leeming and the rest of the board for, having confidence to be able to offer me the position.
Well, and you've been around a lot of good coaches, you've been around a lot of good players. So, has there been a good response from them with you taking the head coaching position? And have you reached out and taken any advice from them?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely reached out to both of my college coaches, a couple other coaches I've had in the past, and they gave me some really good advice. I know Coach Potter is somebody that he was one of the first people I told when I found out, and we had a good long conversation on the phone, and he just let me know that he's here for anything I need, and it's really, really interesting. He told me that something I wasn't aware of. He got his first opportunity to be a head coach when he was 22 years old. So I'm like, well, you have all the experience in the world, so I'm sure I'll be calling you for some advice down the line.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things is when you take over and you go right into kind of the fire with a 6A program being a head coach, because there's a lot of good talent across 6A, as we're well aware of, even in this conference that you're in. So you kind of, in a way, you move up. You're on the bench and you move over maybe 6 inches from coaching a JV assistant or however you're doing, and then all of a sudden you're the head coach. I mean, I know we're not there yet, but are you already kind of thinking in your mind how weird that's going to be to go on the court knowing you're coaching a 6A team?
It's exciting. It's something that I can't say that I dreamed about it since I was a little kid, but since I really started the past couple of years, I'm like, I want to be under those lights, coaching the big games with the varsity team, and I'm excited. It's incredible, man, to be given the opportunity.
Well, something really cool that I see with this is the fact that you are actually going to be coming on and being a head coach when you were an assistant, right? Mm-hmm. So you already have kind of a head start when it comes to knowing these kids, knowing their tendencies, even the younger kids. So does that help you a lot, kind of already knowing the kids, their athleticism and their personalities?
Oh yeah, we're getting ready to have tryouts for all the middle school and high school programs this week, but just from being around in the program, I already have somewhat of an idea of what our rosters should look like once we get past that point, and just having that relationship already with the players. Some of the players, they remember watching me play when I was here, and so I've seen some of them since they were second, first grade, and now they're up and they're under my tutelage, and it's just great to really see how some of them have grown and to be able to continue to watch them blossom.
Well, and you've been under Coach Ivan McFarland, so Ivan stepping aside, you stepping in, it's always the question is, what changes? What do you plan on doing differently? Because you have your own vision, and you're going to take a little bit from everybody you have worked around and been under and played under, and you're going to kind of mold that together. But what is your vision, and what are you going to be doing differently with Ponca City basketball?
I think I really appreciate Ivan because he gave me the opportunity to come here as an assistant in the first place. But, moving forward, we're just trying to bring a new, fresher energy into the program. I think something that, and this is no knock on Ivan, but something that as a program I feel like we've been lacking over the past few years is just pride in Ponca City. I feel like we have some of the best facilities in 6A, which is a credit to our community. Our community is incredibly supportive, and we just need to have pride in that. We're the only high school this community has. We're the big dogs on the block, for this town, and so we really need to take pride in that. We need to make sure that every night we go out and we're playing with those 5 letters on our chest, PONCA, that we know we're representing a community. We got to put our best effort and our best foot forward.
All right, you got that, and that's kind of the culture thing. But schematically, X's, O's wise, is there anything you're going to do differently there?
I like to try to increase the tempo a little bit. I think, running will give us a little bit more of an advantage because usually we're not one of the bigger teams. We're a little bit smaller. Defensively, I really want to get into, more of a high intensity man-to-man, pick guys up, put more pressure on guys. And, it's difficult to kind of install, but it's just going to be the little things we do every single day that are going to build those good habits.
Well, and also as a coach, you're always a product of what you have as well. And, you can't go out in college, you go recruit people, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I need this, I'll go get this. You don't do that in high school. So I'm sure you're also aware that you got to take kind of an inventory of your players and what you have and try to play a style that maybe fits them too, while also incorporating what you want the future to be. So I'm sure you've given a lot of thought to that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Next year coming back, we'll have Tavion Moore as the only returning starter from last year. We have some seniors coming up, Rayson Fisher, Jackson Northcutt, Elijah Kreisel. So those are all guys that, kind of got a little bit of minutes here and there the last season, but we're going to really depend on them looking forward. And there's some sophomores coming up, too, that are going to have some big roles to fill in. I'm a really big fan of the freshman group that I had last year. I think there's a lot of kids in there that can help us, and if they continue to grow, our future's bright.
Well, and Ponca basketball has not, on the boys' side, had a lot of success as of late. So there is a lot of work that has to be done in once again, changing that mentality. And you mentioned those facilities earlier. The Rob, there is no better place in the state of Oklahoma to play a basketball game. It is unreal how loud, how rowdy, how cool that place is to call. I mean, I'm just happy to be a broadcaster to be in that environment. I've broadcasted a lot of places. It is spectacular. So, yeah, it's just trying to maybe get over that hump, that mental challenge of saying, hey, we can be as good as anybody else.
Definitely, because it's a mentality, right? I feel like for some reason, once we get into high school, a lot of our athletes and a lot of our kids have this mentality like, oh, we're Ponca City, we're one of the smaller 6A schools. Like, as long as we go out there and try our best, that's all we can do. And it's like, I think talent-wise, we're not that far behind many of the teams we play, and it's just having that mentality that, we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to get to work. We may not have the size, we may not have what you deem to be the talent, but we're going to outwork everybody we have, and we're going to do what it takes to go out and compete.
Yeah, and season, we're still a ways away, right? But at the same time, when you look at it, you're going to have a whole summer to think about things, work on things, try to get ready for when that first practice hits all of a sudden. So tell us kind of what you're going to be doing over the summer to get ready for that coaching debut.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We have, a summer workout plan where we're going to have our guys in the gym 3 to 4 days a week. We're going to be working with our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Wickert, to really help improve our athleticism and try to put a little bit of weight on some of the guys so that we're tougher, more competitive. And we have a few team camps. We have our JV and varsity teams that'll be going to 2 team camps, and our freshman team will be doing a camp. And we'll also be working with the middle school teams twice a week because, our future is in the youth and the middle school teams. And even below that, we have to really work at developing those guys so that they're ready for the monster once they get to high school.
And have you thought about your coaching style? Like, are you going to, you're probably an NBA 2K guy, and you think about the video games, and, you don't do coaches, you do players, and you have a slider. You get the points that you award, and it's like, okay, I'm going to be a shooter. I'm going to be a post player. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be able to dribble better than I can shoot. So if you had those sliders as far as a coach is concerned, kind of what's that coaching style that Jacob Birnbaum is going to be?
And so energy and enthusiasm are going to be 100%.
Okay.
Anybody that's came in and watched any of our freshman games or got the opportunity to see me on the sideline there knows, like, I'm loud, I'm engaging, and, I hold my players to a high standard. Not because I'm trying to be mean or anything like that, but because they can reach those heights, and in order for them to be as good as they possibly can be, they have to be held accountable, and that's just taking no excuses. If you're not giving me your best effort, you're not being the best that you could be, and that's unacceptable. So just really pushing those guys, engaging with them, but at the end of the day, when the game's over and everything breaks down, it's just letting them know that I really care about them as people. I feel like they're more than basketball players, and really trying to understand what makes them tick off the court as much as on the court.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you as a head coach now at the very young age, and looking forward to seeing what you can do next fall and over the winter when this basketball season really gets started. So a lot of excitement out there, and ready to see your growth as a coach and the growth of this Ponca City program under you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're ready to get to work and can't wait to come back and tell you about all the strides we're making.
That's good to hear, Jacob.
Yes,
really appreciate
Thank
the time. Jacob Birnbaum, the new head basketball coach for Ponca City boys basketball. And that is going to do it for this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and until next time, go Cats.